Welcome back to Soro with Iwa. I am here with the famous, none other, Omo Awo OgunGbemi. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This is episode 5.
Episode 5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Today we will be discussing the great mothers and shadow work.
I say.
So, let's get right into the questions. OgunGbemi, what exactly is shadow work?
Well, there are many explanations on what it is, but we're going to go with the one that I like the most, and that one is that from the time that you were a child, around the ages of 3 to 4, it varies, you were told certain things and certain things happened to you that you internalized. And those things begin to mold you into the character you thought you were supposed to be. Whether those things were, most of those things were traumatic. And you think that the person that you are currently is who you ideally were supposed to be. So shadow work deals with you going in and finding out what molds you into who you are today and where you should be as an individual if you do the shadow work.
Well, how does the great mothers, how do they pertain to shadow work?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because in the culture, it's taught in different forms. Most folks think when they hear the great mothers that the great mothers are coming to do you something nasty, coming to cause havoc in your life, or you better not see an owl, or there's a whole bunch of stigmas that are attached with the great mothers, making them seem as though they're evil, when actually if you do your research you'll find out that the great mothers entail Oshun, Oya, Yemoja, and Opa. And all these Orishas, or all these mothers, have a significant role in your cosmology, or in your, in our cosmology, or in your conscious way of thinking according to the culture, because the culture gives you the science behind what these orishas or what these entities or energy bring to your life in a positive and in a negative manner.
Like, how can we incorporate it into our everyday lives? How can we incorporate shadow work into our everyday lives?
Okay, well, let's start off with Oshun. If you were an individual that was abused as a child, you notice that most of your mothers or most of your parents, whenever they've done you something wrong, the first thing they do is when they realize it, or they think they've done too much damage, they offer you what? Something sweet.
Yeah.
So you adopt to the idea that, okay, pain and me having something sweet is affiliated with soothing that pain. So you never really get rid of that pain. You still have that pain, and you begin to just consume sweets. Whenever a bad thought come to you, the movies even show you this. When a woman is dumped by a man, or when she's hurt, what does she do? You see her with a big old bucket of ice cream. Yeah. And that's because she's in need of something sweet, because she has experienced a traumatic event.
Yeah.
And she learned from her parents that, look, when you go through something bad, you need something sweet to fix it. Mm-hmm. So Oshun represent you being sweet to yourself. Mm-hmm. So whenever you do the shadow work and you go in and realize what area you really have a problem with, mm-hmm. then you find out that you need to be sweet to yourself in this area. So on top of that, Oshun is depicted always carrying a mirror. And if you read some of the Apatakis, it tells you that she used to go down to the river and she would confess who and what she was and where she wanted to be in life. So it's the same with you. You have to look at yourself and reaffirm to yourself who and what and where you would like to be, dismissing the trauma that has already happened to you in your past. And this will bring you to a point of being sweet to yourself, and it'll confirm you to the individual you're on your way to being.
Yeah.
Shadow work. Now, I'm not telling you that it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but the fact of the matter is she'll help you in all the areas where you needed sweetness given to you. That's where she comes into play. You know, there are more principles and concepts dealing with comfort, dealing with love, dealing with temperance, patience, all those things she has for you, and that is taught in the culture.
The downfalls of practicing shadow work, because I know once you start looking within and doing all this work, you kind of cut off some things in your life that you thought were for you and they're not.
Well, that's a very, very, very interesting part right there. So, okay, you have one of the Orishas, one of the mothers is called Oba. And a lot of people, not too many people know too much about Oba, but Oba represents, in some cases, naivety. Okay, how you decided to take an individual or people at the good that you saw in them, and they end up misusing you, abusing you, and treating you wrong, and to the point to where you seclude yourself. Okay, so when Oba, if you follow one of the Patakis, when she was married to Shango and she was tricked by her naivety, she was dismissed from the palace and she went to the woods. Some stories say to the woods, some stories say to the graveyard. It's fine, both stories are fine. But when you decide to do the shadow work on yourself, you're going to find yourself secluded. Because there are things that the people around you are feeding you that you realize, wait a minute, that's not who I am. I'm not a drunkard. I'm not a dopehead. I'm not an angry person. I'm not a whoremonger. I'm not all these things that you're not. So you're not going to want to have anything to do with people that are, because you realize that's your weak or that's your naive place. You follow me?
Yeah.
So it secludes you because you're working on that area. If you choose not to work on that area, this is how the great mothers get the negative aspect of who they are, because all the negative fruit that comes from that, being sick, being in fights, having a quick temper, being lonely, all that is great mother energy, because you refuse to deal with the inners, the inwards, the inner you. And that is the enemy. You refuse to deal with the true enemy, which is yourself.
How do you know you actually need to do shadow work?
Everybody needs to do shadow work. Even those that look like they have it all together, because there's no one that have it all together. We all have issues that we need to, that's why there's such thing called issues.
Yes.
Yeah. So we all have issues we have to deal with. If we choose not to deal with them, the issues will deal with us. So everybody has them. And you need to do shadow work in order to advance to a better you, to a better character. If you're in the culture, our objective is to be like Obatala. Okay, so or in some other cultures to be like Jesus, or to be like Buddha, or to be like Muhammad. That's you're doing everything to access what we call your Christ consciousness, the higher you, to be above. Because there's secrets to life that you carry, only you carry, and that the world needs to have. But if you're not up here dealing with yourself, how will the world ever get the things that are in you? We got to wait till you die off and come back over again to start living your life so we can get the secret that you originally had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So it's very, very important to do shadow work. I mean, that's if you want to advance. You can just be like some people. I just want to be a regular person. Well, go ahead and be a regular person. Go ahead and be a regular person. Because regular persons have problems too. You're going to have problems in life any way it go, so you might as well have problems on your way to victory.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work on shadow work? How do you do your own inner work?
Well, I do a lot of observing, and I do a lot of observing of the things that hurt me. When it comes down to my childhood, I remember those things to a T. I remember from the time, you know how people sometimes tell you, I remember when I was 2 years old. No, I remember when I was 2 years old. So I do things within me before people even know that I'm working on it, and that's how I get the information that I have whenever somebody else is going through the problem. Like, oh, that's easy. Let me show you how to solve that. Or, hey, let me tell you what I did with that. Or let me tell you what that truly is, because I take out the time to fix it in me, because I want to be right with me. You follow me? I want to be balanced. So every opportunity I take, I watch, I listen, not just outwardly, I'm talking about instead, and I work from there.
Okay.
Like particularly Oba and Yemoja were two primarily ones that I constantly deal with.
Okay.
Let me share some of the things about Oya. So Oya is considered to be the goddess of change. Okay, so when it comes down to you and her in shadow work, if you're not willing to change, then she gives you it's not an actual entity. I'm sorry y'all think that way, but it's the energy.
Yes.
Since you choose not to change, then you have the chaos from not changing. And all storms are chaos. Yeah. So Oya represents the storms of life. She also represents the changing of what comes after the storm of life. So if you want to stay in a storm, don't change. If you want to get out of the storm, change. So, and Yemoja represent you understanding that everybody needs to be nurtured, especially yourself. You need to know that there are areas you need to be sweet to yourself in, Oshun. There are areas you need to change about who you think you are, Yemoja. Oya. There's areas you need to understand that you need to be secluded and not believe the best in everybody that you deal with, which is Oba.
Right.
And Yemoja, understanding that you are worthy of love and for somebody, and to draw that love out of yourself, which is self-love. You need to love you and find out what makes you lovely. Yeah,
yes.
That's it. When it comes down to all these energies, if you are a female, I do highly recommend that when there's a full moon, you take account of your negative emotions.
How to do that? Make a list?
Yes, of your negative emotions, the things that trouble you. Because Yemoja is represented in the moon.
Okay.
So when you take account of the things that irritate you when you have a full moon, then you'll know the areas that you need to be nurtured in.
Gotcha.
You also learn the areas you need to change. You also learn the areas that you where you need to be separate from people. You also learn the areas where you need to be sweet to yourself at. The great mothers are prevalent when we have a full moon.
I think this is important because I don't know if you felt it, or actually I'm pretty sure you have felt it, but there has been a shift
Mm-hmm.
in the atmosphere.
Yes.
Mother Nature's mad at us. Everything is burning, everything is flooding, everything
Yes.
is melting.
Mm-hmm.
So nature is alive.
Yes.
I don't think people understand that. So when something
Gaia.
is alive, we are, what are we? We're like the parasites. We're living off of what's alive.
Yes. Yes.
So if
That's
we're
well
using
said.
and abusing something that's alive, it's going to die. It's going to stop working correctly
Mm-hmm.
because we are not working correctly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see you.
We're unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the inner work, the shadow work, the therapy, anything you can do to work on yourself is going to make the environment a lot better. Like, it's bigger than us.
Yes.
I'm starting to realize it's not just, oh, I need to be better for my kids. No, you need to be better
for the world.
everybody.
Yes. Yes. I
So,
say. I say.
That's I love
Indeed.
that. I love that.
Indeed. Well, actually, I'm working on getting a time slot on where I can come and discuss in great length what the Great Mothers mean with shadow work and internal work at either Pan Africa or Doc Bookstore in Fort Worth. So those are things in progress. So that's what I'm currently working on.
Ashe.
Because I believe a lot of sisters will be able to really identify once I lay out, because I have a lot to say about where Oshun, where all of them play a part in who you are
Yeah.
and what you can become.
They do. I
Yes.
believe that too.
Mm-hmm.
I would not believe. I trust it.
I say.
I
I
trust
say.
that too.
I say.
That's great. I can't wait.
Okay.
This is Soro with Iwa. Thank you so much for joining me.
Odabo.
Until next time.
I think I should go with an all white hat, or do you think I should go with I got a baby blue hat, man. It's kicking like Bruce Lee too, but